Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of this F1 24 driver career mode with myself driving for Sauber in our rookie season. If you did miss the last episode, George Russell claimed victory in Brazil for the Brazilian Grand Prix. He also claimed victory in the sprint race, claiming the full sweep of the weekend. Fernando Alonso made it back onto the podium alongside Oscar Piastri, who hadn't been on the podium for a while as there was a little slip of performance from the McLaren driver. And for myself, in the end, we just had zero pace. I made a mistake in qualifying, meant that we started further back, and then to finish it off, made a pretty bad mistake in pretty greasy conditions when there was a little bit of a light rain, but we were still on the dry tyres, made a mistake, put it into the wall, and from there on in, after the repairs were done, we just had zero confidence with the car, and in the end, P19 was all we could manage, nearly being lapped as well by the leaders. Kevin Magnussen was the only non-finisher in the Grand Prix last time out, and Lando Norris leads the Drivers' Championship by only 9 points now to Max Verstappen. So this championship battle is continuously closing up after that big swing of points in the last few rounds. And getting ourselves prepared for the next race here in Vegas, we're going to take a look at the durability once again. We're going to save the MGUH reliability testing upgrade going ahead into next season, and then we'll jump straight to our specialist, so the power unit consultant, qualify better than Valtteri Bottas, our teammate, mature fabrication planner, no more than 2 penalties, quality assurance tester, 50 seconds in 5th gear, and the strategy analysis would score 8 championship points to give us something to really try and strive for. And looking at the weather here, we're going to have a wet qualifying for the middle of the desert. A wet qualifying is really going to spice things up, and Vegas already one of those circuits that switches up the order. With just how unique the circuit is, adding rain to that could really spice things up going ahead into the Grand Prix. And we've got 2 new developments on the car this weekend. The front wing end plate and the turbo size upgrade are both on the car for the weekend as well. Hopefully will give us a bit of a boost, especially down the straights. It should come into effect here, and we're going to take a look at the R&D now. McLaren, they continue to just be the fastest car ahead of Mercedes. McLaren being the fastest car for a good portion of the season now. Red Bull and Aston Martin have closed the gap to Mercedes. Ferrari are starting to fall away from the top 4 now, so this top 5 split of cars that we've seen for most of the season is now starting to separate a bit. All of the bottom teams, including Sauber, Williams, RB and Haas, we've all brought upgrades apart from Alpine. They seem to be struggling in this second portion of the season here. They seem to be continuing to save parts rather than getting a couple of more upgrades in on the car. So their progress is kind of flatlined a little bit as we now get ready for qualifying.
Stand by to see cars at more than 210 miles an hour blasting their way down the strip. F1 has taken over. It's F1 Fever, Las Vegas.
And the weather report was not lying. It is in fact raining here in Las Vegas, which is going to, as I said before, it's already a spicy track, so the fact that there's weather here is just going to increase the spice factor here today. Our first flying lap on the intermediate tyres, P9 just behind our teammate, as we're just going to do what I normally do for intermediate tyre running and just pretty much wet weather sessions for qualifying. I'm just going to just run a heap of laps, and this will be our final lap on this set of tyres, and we go P3, so we are progressively getting faster around the circuit. And even though I am P3, I still go out on a fresh set of rubber just to be safe, and we do go P1 in this session on a set of fresh rubber. So it's myself fastest in qualifying 1 by half a second to Lewis Hamilton. Charles Leclerc in P3, 7/10 back. Our teammate Valtteri is in P10, 1.1 seconds back. And knocked down Q1, it's Lance Stroll, Logan Sargent, Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon, and Kevin Magnussen failing to make it to the next part of qualifying. And we're going to start the next part of qualifying using some worn tyres. So this is the set of tyres I did that final flying lap on, and we just dragged the brakes there a little bit, and going into this section where the sphere is, we just run very wide. So I'm abandoning that lap, but we do recharge and go again, and that'll put us P6 at the moment, just behind our teammate Valtteri, and we'll go for one more lap on this set of used tyres, and it will put us now P5 as the track does seem to be slowly rubbering up, and we'll go out on another fresh set of tyres for one more flying lap. And once again, it is going to be P1 in the session, so myself fastest in qualifying 2 by 2 tenths ahead of Fernando Alonso. Then it's Carlos Sainz 3 tenths behind. our teammate Valtteri does make it into the final part of qualifying in P7, 6/10 behind, and knocked out in qualifying to Esteban Ocon, Oscar Piastri, and Max Verstappen not making it to the next part of qualifying with Lando Norris. He will make it through, and this is going to make the championship chase even harder for Max. And now Lando's inside the top 10. Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo also knocked out in the second part of qualifying, and as we'll do one flying lap here on these worn sets of intermediates, and they'll put us P2, nearly 4/10 behind Charles Leclerc. We will go out for a fresh set of rubber in the intermediate tyres. We'll hit the brakes just before the outside curb and get it all turned in. We're already up into the green by nearly 2/10 of a second before we even make it to turn 2. Hug the inside wall and let the car slowly drift out wide. We'll get onto the power. A little bit of correction needed. A tiny little bit of opposite lock just to make sure that we don't break into too much wheel spin. Use a bit of ERS and down the straight, braking at the light post there and hitting the inside curb there to help try and get the car turned. And now through here, I haven't quite figured out the perfect line yet, but we're going to start inside and then switch it to the outside here, and we're going to use all of the curb here to try and help the car get turned through these lazy couple of corners here, and then once again using the curb there on the inside to help the car get turned in onto the power now, and using a bit of ERS to try and get the car back up to speed a bit more quicker. We're going to hug the inside wall here and to try and stay a little bit out wide and to try and straighten up the braking zone here going onto the Vegas strip, and we'll get it all turned in nicely, very close to the wall there on the exit, and we'll dump a heap of ERS now to get ourselves up to speed here. We don't have DRS to aid us down that straight, so we have to use the ERS. We run wide at the end of the strip though, which is going to ruin this sequence of corners here, but we're going to dump whatever we've got left in the tank. We're currently 7/10, nearly 7/10 up on our last lap, which put us P2. We've dropped down to P4, so where is this going to put us? And it is going to be pole position for ourselves here in Las Vegas. Mark is ecstatic, I'm ecstatic, and we've got ourselves another front row start in our rookie season, and we'll take a look here at the results of the final part of qualifying. So it is 2/10 of a second I get pole position by over Charles Leclerc. It is my first pole position in the series. Carlos Sainz sits P3, he's 3/10 back, and our teammate Valtteri out-qualifies Lando Norris to be in P8. He's 1.3 seconds behind, and Lando Norris, he may be starting ahead of Max Verstappen, but it's been a poor qualifying from him inside the top 10 here, which making Max's job a bit easier.
Welcome to Las Vegas, and for Formula One, it's welcome back to Las Vegas. No longer do we race in the Caesars Palace car park. Tonight, the time is right to go racing in the street. 17 corners, 3 straights, 2 DRS zones, and the glitz and glamour of Las Vegas as we race around the 3.8 miles of Sin City. The strip has been taken over to become a straight tonight, commanding top speeds of around 212 miles an hour. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Lightning lines up on pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Russell, Bottas, Norris, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Stroll, Sargent, Hamilton, Gasly, Verstappen, Albon, Perez, Oscar Piastri, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway.
Taking a look at our strategy for today's race, we're going to start on the mediums and go to the hards, pitting on lap 11 of the easiest way to go about it. As we now sit on the grid, it is 4 red lights, 5 red lights, and we are away for the Vegas Grand Prix for the second year running here in the city of Vegas, and it is going to be a pretty good start for ourselves, but not as good as Charles Leclerc. He's going to send it down the inside of ourselves, and he will take the lead away from us, but we're going to be pretty happy to sit in P2 at the moment, because we have now got the first of the DRS straights coming up again. DRS will not be activated on this first lap, but it will be on the next lap. So if we can sit behind Charles Leclerc here and stay within his DRS, we're going to be in a good spot. As Fernando Alonso locks up at turn 3, and he's going to rejoin the track, hitting George Russell, and I reckon that is Fernando Alonso who has lost his end plate there on the front wing, and he has got that damage, so he could be quite slow here now, and possibly holding up the rest of the field. Leclerc's already pulled a second on myself here. So this isn't looking great for me if I want to try and stay within DRS and try and protect myself here from Carlos Sainz, because it will be absolutely wicked if I can make a podium and get out of this front row start here, as we did back in Miami, starting on the front row there, as Alonso and Russell continue to go side by side. Fernando is going to slip back into the slipstream of George Russell in that Mercedes, both cars running Mercedes power units, and Fernando will now pull out of the slipstream and run alongside Russell here. And is this going to be enough to help him get the move done? Remember, he's just going to have to be dumping his battery as our teammate Valtteri Bottas, here he comes down the Vegas Strip. He's going to be the inside of a 3-wide battle through here. This is going to be dangerous. There is an end play that is a bright green end play. I reckon that's our teammate. He has lost his end play as well through that contact, trying to make it 3 wide at the end of the Vegas Strip here. As they continue to go side by side, George Russell will remain in P4, but our teammate will get the move done on Fernando Alonso to make it a P5 at the moment. And as we take a look at the rest of the top 10, it's Alonso, and then it's Ocon, Norris. Max Verstappen is already up into P9, just behind championship rival Lando Norris. So Max Verstappen definitely in damage control at the moment to try and mitigate whatever loss he could get out of this unfortunate qualifying that he ended up having been knocked out in qualifying two. As Stroll and Hulkenberg continue to go side by side. Hulkenberg currently inside the points against Stroll, but it is Stroll who's going to have the inside line as they come through this section of circuit here up against the sphere, and they will continue to go side by side. Lots of side battling at the moment in this Grand Prix, but it is going to be Stroll who ends up getting the better of Nico Hulkenberg to claim that final points paying position at the moment. And back on board with ourselves, we're looking to the outside of Charles Leclerc using a bit of DRS and ERS. We're going to run side by side through here as Liam Lawson and Magnussen did in real life, and we will get the better exit here. And it looks like Leclerc is now going to be under attack from his teammate Carlos Sainz, as the two Ferraris, they're going to be running side by side through this final little kink here on the main straight. We're going to maintain the lead, but it's going to be the two Ferraris battling behind us, hopefully holding themselves up so then we can try and pull away just that little bit. And it is going to be Leclerc getting the better of Sainz. Max Verstappen now going side by side with Esteban Ocon, so both Norris and Verstappen now through on the French driver there. As we now take a look at a replay here of our teammate, this is how he got past George Russell down the Vegas Strip and into this really tight sequence of corners. As now Mark, he wants us to start using ERS a bit more consistently, so he wants us to try and use it for a minimum of 1.3 seconds each lap. I've been well and truly using it a bit more than that. I think it's just more the fact that I'm being really conservative with the use of it, trying to make sure we've got a full battery just in case if we do need to attack or defend down one of the straights, as our teammate is now being overtaken once again by George Russell. So it looks like the damage there that our teammate has, and alongside with Fernando Alonso. Alonso also got damage. It looks like it's maybe just a bit much, but I say that as down this main straight here, our teammate once again gets ahead of George Russell. So these guys battling, you can see there, is really holding them up. They're going on to lap 6 now, but they're already nearly 7 seconds behind myself and the two Ferraris, as Fernando Alonso is now looking to try and get himself ahead of George Russell, but he cannot do it. So George Russell will maintain position just for the moment, but he does have DRS on our teammate, so he's going to look to the inside of our teammate. But Fernando Alonso, with the door wide open, he's going to look to try and get the both of them. He's definitely got George Russell now. Is he going to be able to get the position on our teammate? He will run side by side as they come into this section with the sphere, and he will take the inside line, which will give Valtteri the inside line for the next part. And once again, Fernando will now have the inside line, and he will get the move completed and put himself now up into P4. Back on board with ourselves here. We're going to be running into the Vegas Strip, and we've locked up, we've dragged the brake just a little bit and nearly put it into the wall. Evasive action needed by Charles Leclerc, but our run has now been ruined, so we could not only lose the position to Leclerc, but now Sainz is looking very aggressive, and there goes Sainz. He's dumping all the battery he's got. He wants to try and get the lead of the Grand Prix here. Looks like there is no team orders between the two Ferrari drivers, as they currently sit P3 in the constructors, and neither of them in the Drivers' Championship fight. So it is gloves off at the Scarlet Red team, and we're going to try and look for a switchback where we don't get the power on quite early enough to make it really work. And so we're now just in the power slipstream. I'm not even using any ERS at the moment. I get Leclerc back. Sainz is now leading the way. We complete our objective with the ERS usage, and we look to the outside of Carlos Sainz. Are we able to get it done? No, we can't. So we try and hug the inside line there, and Sainz swings across the nose of us. That was a very brave move there. could have ended badly if I was just slightly overlapping his rear wheel there. And looking back for further down the pack now, it is Alonso. He still sits P4, but he's under attack from our teammate who is looking to get that move done. But here is George Russell. He looks it to the inside, 3 wide at turn 1. Usually does not end well, and that is squeezed our teammate out. And does he have an issue? He was really slow. Or did he just get squeezed? I reckon he may have just got squeezed because he's back up to racing speed once again. But it's now Russell who's looking to try and get past Alonso. These guys battling it all the way to the end at the moment, even though we're only 10 laps in, and it looks like George Russell there will maintain position, and Lando Norris also trying to get ahead of our teammate. Is he going to be able to get the move done? No. Our teammate shuts the door on Lando being able to get through. On board with ourselves once more. It is still lap 10 of the Grand Prix with the use of some DRS. No ERS is required for this one. We'll break it a tad earlier, and I really thought that was going to be the move done, but very awkwardly Sainz kept the nose in there at one portion of it, which kind of ruined the run down here. But either way, it is going to be working out just fine for myself. It is Sainz who has had his run ruined, and Charles Leclerc will get the position away from his teammate to get himself back into P2. As we do a bit of an order check now, it is myself leading the way, then it's the 2 Ferraris of Leclerc and Sainz, P2, P3, and then it's George Russell, Fernando Alonso, our teammate, is holding on to P6 with a wounded car. Lando Norris ahead of Max Verstappen, crucially ahead of Max Verstappen in P7, P8, then it's Esteban Ocon, Lance Stroll rounding out the points, Sergio Perez, Alex Albon, Lewis Hamilton, Nico Hulkenberg, Logan Sargent, Yuki Tsunoda, who is currently battling Pierre Gasly. This is for P16 on the road, so these guys P16, P17 behind, and Magnussen and Piastri also battling it out. Piastri's had an absolute shocker so far today, and Daniel Ricciardo is currently last on the road as they continue to go side by side, and in the background there you can see the side by side between Piastri and Magnussen, and for ourselves, we're defending the position at the moment. We do manage to defend the lead just for now, and we're hugging it to the inside, and we'll now pull off into the pit lane here to try and get our hopefully one and only pit stop done. We'll get it all slow down, lock up the front just to make sure we do get it slow down. On that lap there, we did also get a objective for an average lap time, which I thought Mark was a bit silly to tell me that, because he knew that we were about to come in for our one and only pit stop. Not unless, just thinking about it, he was trying to cause Ferrari to do something else to try and give us the edge here, because if he was trying to possibly help us and try and trick them into staying out, as it would not have worked anyway, because I'm struggling on the brakes. I'm struggling on these cold tyres, and Leclerc has just got by me. He's absolutely done me through there. I broke early because the previous corner I struggled a little bit and had a couple of little lockups, but I'm not as struggling as much as Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda's got a massive issue here. He is slowing right down to the point he is now blocking Kevin Magnussen, and he will pull it down the escape road to try and reduce any risk of a safety car coming out, because that could possibly ruin Daniel Ricciardo's race, even though both cars, I don't think they were getting points. Although we've now got another objective to pass Charles Leclerc, so now that Leclerc's got by us and we're sitting in the dirty air and we can't get massively close to him, so Mark now wants us to try and get ahead of him to try and protect these hard tyres that we still have to run for a little while here, as George Russell is looking to try and get around the outside of Fernando Alonso here. So this battle, now the pit stop phase is done, is not ending anytime soon. Down the Vegas Strip they will come. Max Verstappen is now looking to try and get a piece of this. He'll go down the inside of Fernando Alonso. You'll take note, our teammates now down to P14. He had to repair his front ring in the pit lane, so he had a longer stop than expected. Hopefully he can work his way back through the field to try and get himself into the points, and double points possibly for Sauber here if all goes to plan. Fernando Alonso continues to battle it out with Lando Norris here. Norris looking to try and take advantage of Max Verstappen, opening up a pathway for him to try and get through, but Verstappen now, he's going to be scoring more points than Lando Norris, so he could possibly now close the gap in the Drivers' Championship, which is going to make it a very, very interesting final 2 rounds of this championship. Remembering Qatar is also a sprint round. And back on board with ourselves here, we're now trying to get the move done on Charles Leclerc, and we just get ourselves ahead, but we become a bit of a ping ball there, coming out of the final section of corners there, and it's now a drag racer down to the line. Carlos Sainz is tucked right up behind us. This is like Formula NASCAR here in Las Vegas. Very entertaining racing, I'm sure, for the crowd in the stands. We have to go around the long way at turn 1, as Leclerc is still there on our inside. He's still there on our outside, but we do get the better run going through turn 2, and and squeeze him out of the way. But now he will have the DRS on us, and he was only a 10th and a half behind us, so surely that's enough advantage that he's got with the DRS. We break a bit earlier just to make sure he gets the move done there, and we will sit down in P2 and try and make up a game plan to see if we can't stay with him all the way to the end. While this battle was going on, Alex Albon made the move there to get himself further up in the points now behind the Mercedes of, I think that's Lewis Hamilton just ahead of him. And Max Verstappen also making a move there while we were battling away. And now it's back to us once again with the DRS. We're right behind Charles Leclerc. We're a bit too close to just sit behind him. So we kind of have to go for a move now. And if we were to let off the throttle, we would have been then vulnerable to Carlos Sainz. And I don't want to drop down to P3. And so we will now use the run that we've got to try and get by Charles Leclerc. We're 3 wide coming down the main straight. And we'll now have to try and defend now from Carlos Sainz. We're on the outside. Sainz will have the inside. He'll get the better of us and into the braking zone. He's much better under the brakes, so we'll slip in behind him, and now we should have the DRS on Carlos Sainz as we come down there this straight, and we do have the DRS on him as we look further back down the top 10 here. Alex Albon looking to try and make a move now on Lewis Hamilton, and it's 3 wide once again. Last time it was 3 wide down here. We didn't end too well for our teammates. There is plenty of contact there, and looks like another end plate at 100% went flying off to the side there, but who it was, I have no clue. It looks like there, the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton, looks like it does not have an end plate there on the left-hand side, so it possibly could have been him that copped the damage, but I reckon there's been a lot of end plates going around so far in today's race, as Max Verstappen's now looking to try and extend his advantage over Lando Norris that he's got so far in this race by going around the outside of George Russell. Last time Max Verstappen made an overtake, Norris was able to follow him through. Unlike this time, Norris cannot do that as Alex Albon and Lance Stroll battle it out, but it's going to be Stroll who is now side by side with his teammate. So the damage that Fernando Alonso has, it looks like Alonso did not fix his damage in the pit lane, unlike our teammate, and so he is struggling. So Alonso is now outside of the point, so I wonder if that is going to be a decision that they're regretting and not spending the extra 2 or 3 seconds to try and fix the front wing, as Russell is now getting himself back ahead of this pack here, but he's still side by side with Max Verstappen. Is Lando Norris possibly going to be able to take advantage of this now the other two have ruined their run going down this straight? George Russell is certainly looking like he doesn't want to waste it, because Max Verstappen is actually harvesting energy, so he's going to lose 2 positions there. So Norris is now back ahead of Max Verstappen, crucially now extending that championship lead, as now Norris is looking to try and get himself ahead of George Russell around the outside, as Max Verstappen did only a couple of laps ago. And is he going to be able to get the move completed on Russell here? Yes, he can. He'll switch it in front of George Russell there to cover up the corner coming up into the sphere. And Max Verstappen now seeing George Russell holding himself up with Lando Norris starting to pull away up ahead. That is enough incentive for Max Verstappen to try and get the move done on Russell, but he's also looking to try and get the move done on Lando Norris. This is maybe a little bit of desperation to try and keep the championship alive here in Vegas. Back on board with ourselves here while they're battling it out behind us. We've got a really good run here on Carlos Sainz, so we're going to look to the inside and try and see if we can't get the lead taken away from the Spaniard here. He's going to keep it side by side with us as we go through turn 2, so I'm going to have to be really patient here on the throttle to not break it out into too much wheel spin. Neither of us getting the DRS actually, by the looks of it, but I slip into the slipstream of Carlos Sainz, and as much of an idiot as I am, that just opened up the door for Charles Leclerc to come through. He had the DRS on the both of us, and he just slipped right on by, and he could possibly get the lead now of this Grand Prix. The 2 Ferraris continue to battle it out here. As I said before, I reckon it is gloves off down at the Scuderia Ferrari garage, and it is going to be Charles Leclerc who now takes the lead of the Vegas Grand Prix, and battling behind us is once more George Russell and Max Verstappen. It looks like they're going to continue going side by side, and Lando Norris is going to be sitting tight. So Lando Norris was leading this pack just a few moments ago, and he now finds himself at the rear of this trio. But back to the front where we are still in the podium paying position here. We've got an 8, nearly 9 second gap back to George Russell. Carlos Sainz is looking to try and get the lead back away from Charles Leclerc. They know this is the dying stages of the Grand Prix, so they need to try and get their moves done now. Whereas I'm more in the thought of maybe if I can stay with these guys, I could maybe use the last lap of the Grand Prix to make the pass and try and see if I can't win this. I think a win is now absolutely on. I wasn't trying to say it because I had a feeling something may have happened, but I I now think a win is absolutely on. As we take a look at a replay of while we were doing all of that, Max Verstappen getting himself back ahead of George Russell by using the DRS down the Vegas Strip, and that is going to be that move completed for Max Verstappen. Lando Norris also taking advantage of the George Russell being held up there by going side by side, but only a lap later. It is not going to matter, as now Lando Norris is looking to battle it out with his title rival. They go side by side, and it is now going to be a game of who is latest on the brakes, and it is going to be Lando Norris, who's just ahead at the moment, but Max Verstappen keeps his nose in, and he gets given the squeeze over the curb, but they continue side by side. Are they going to be able to keep it going through here? No, Lando Norris will finish ahead, just ahead of Max Verstappen in this battle. Back on board with ourselves now. We're heavily under attack from Charles Leclerc, and he will breeze past us with the DRS, and we're going to sit tight behind him now. I reckon I might just hold station, but I can't do that, and I've now nearly lost a full second to him. I used a bit of the curb, and while the car was still up in the air, hit the throttle just a tad, and that broke it into wheel spin. I was very lucky to save it, but we will have to dump a heap of ERS to try and make sure we stay within a second. You can see there on the timing there, it is now only 4 to 3/10. The gap now as they go 3 wide. Once again, these guys going in through there, and that was a papaya orange. That was papaya orange end plate now gone. So Lando Norris now wounded in this battle. So is that his chance now gone to try and finish ahead of Max Verstappen in this Grand Prix? As I don't think, it looks like George Russell is wounded as well. What about Max Verstappen? How is his front wing looking? His front wing looks perfectly fine. So Max Verstappen sitting the best at the moment out of these three, which is going to prove to be crucial in this championship if Max Verstappen is able to finish ahead of Norris, who currently is 9 points ahead of Verstappen in the Drivers' Championship. Verstappen, though, does not have the DRS down this straight, so he is now vulnerable to Lando Norris, who's looking to go down his inside, but he's going to be much later on the brakes, and he's going to be able to challenge George Russell once again, but Russell snips just ahead of Max Verstappen in this battle this time round. Lap 24 now. There's only just more than a single lap to go in this Grand Prix. Max Verstappen continuing to battle it out like no tomorrow, and he will try and get the move done here on George Russell going down the main straight. And they go side by side, and Lando Norris sitting just behind them, looking to try and see if he can take advantage anywhere possible. It looks like he will sit behind George Russell, but he'll swing it to the inside, and he'll try and see if he can't take the move away from Russell as well. Verstappen, though, looks like he may have this one done on Russell going to turn 2. He'll slip ahead, but now there is a DRS zone coming up where George Russell is going to be able to use it to a full effect. Lando Norris also looking very racy right behind him, not letting that fresh damage that he's just got on the front wing hurt him whatsoever, and he will not let this one go. He is in prime position at the moment to take his first ever World Drivers' Championship, and he has only got one man in his way to help him to stop him from doing that, and that is Max Verstappen, who is currently just in front of him, battling it out with Russell. Honda versus Mercedes. Remember, the McLaren is running a Mercedes power unit in the back of that, but it is going to be Russell who pulls ahead, and it is now the final lap down the Vegas Strip. We're dumping a little bit of ERS there, but we're not going to really need it because we get ahead of Charles Leclerc before we even make it to the DRS. We take the lead on the last lap. We've only got 4 corners to navigate. We're going to hit the brakes a little bit earlier than normal. Make sure we don't lock it up. We run a tiny little bit wide, but it is going to be all good. We'll now dump everything that we have got left in the tank down to the finish line. We're pulling away from Charles Leclerc, and we will cross the line to take our first career victory in Formula 1 for Sauber, and I was not expecting that in this race. We've done the clean sweep. We've got pole, and now we've got the wing.
They take the checkered flag, the fans go wild. They broke the bank in Las Vegas. The strip has been conquered.
They led from lights out to the flag at the end, and their race victory was never in doubt, was it? Brilliant stuff by them.
So here they come now, out onto the podium. It's thrilling to see this team go toe-to-toe with the best in the sport and come out on top. What a superb victory for the Sauber team.
What a way to take our first career victory. It's absolutely wicked to be able to say that we're now a Formula 1 race winner. The conditions in qualifying apparently just suited the car really well. We were consistently quick, topped all 3 qualifying sessions, and even our teammate making it into Q3. It just all went really well, and then we just hadn't enough pace there to stay with the 2 Ferraris and make a last lap overtake for the win. The rest of the top 10, Max Verstappen ahead of Lando Norris, means the championship title fight will get even closer. Verstappen having an excellent race to come up from P14 to still finish ahead of Norris. George Russell, Sergio Perez, Lewis Hamilton, Lance Stroll, and Esteban Ocon will round out the top 10. Bottas unfortunately ended up P13 after a brilliant quality. He was inside the top 10 for quite a bit, but yeah, had that damage and did not get himself back inside the top 10. Tsunoda was the only non-finisher. Looking at the Drivers' Championship, Lando Norris leads it by only 6 points to Max Verstappen. Oscar Piastri sits P3, 81 points behind myself. In P8, 12 points behind Lewis Hamilton. Then it's our teammate Valtteri. He's in P17, 9 points behind Yuki Tsunoda. McLaren, they're leading the Constructors' Championship by 135 points to Red Bull. Ferrari continue to close the gap in P3. They're now only 52 points behind Red Bull. So could they possibly steal P2 away from Red Bull? And Sauber, we're P6, 37 points behind Aston Martin. And we have won our rivalry against Sergio Perez, which is going to bode well for ourselves trying to get into the Red Bull seat one day. We're also leading our rivalry with Ocon, so we just need to get one more level in our driver ratings to claim victory in that one. Speaking of driver ratings, our experience is up, racecraft has gone up to level 88, awareness is up to level 85, and our pace and focus is all gone up with an overall level of 86. And even after that performance, our recognition remains at 48%. The team finding out we're talking to RB has really hurt us. So I don't think that's going to be changing for the rest of the season, but we'll still keep tabs on it. And nearly leveled up the material fabrication planner and quality assurance tester to level 2 in our specialist. And apparently we've had a ERS glitch during the Grand Prix. So it looks like whatever's happened, it didn't really affect me because I didn't even notice it. So that will be something to investigate going into the last 2 rounds. But that will be it for this episode. If you did enjoy it, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode where we go to Qatar for the Qatar Grand Prix.